Welcome back to Satisfactory. Now on the experimental build, as we had the fluids update releasing today, which should be version like update 3.6 or something. So I'm back at the base because I figured we'd take the advanced aluminium production milestone while we're in here. There are other things that I need to pick up as well. Let's see here. Get in there. And engine or motors. I don't like it when it randomly jumps around like that. Okay, sort and boom.
Milestone reached. Advanced aluminum parts can now be produced, which are necessary to build the Miner Mark III. Batteries can be used as a fuel source for vehicles.
Now, one of the things that they did add with this update is the factory ladder. I haven't played around with it yet. I figured I'd do that together with you guys. Since I don't use walls, I'm not sure how often I'm going to be using this, but not enough coupons. Didn't I pick up the coupons? No, I picked up the power cells. I don't need the power cells. Let's try that again. Add to cart. And bio. So according to the patch notes, the I'm guessing these are under organization. The ladder snaps. Oh, that is very cute. Snaps to foundations, and it also snaps to walls. And apparently, you can extend it by just clicking for the one ladder you want, and then dropping it like so. And you can fall down. Oh, and it's one. Oh, that is very, very, very convenient. Thank you for that, Coffee Stain. That's not having to remove each and every part of it, but making it one segment. That is a very good idea. There was something else that I wanted to do in here. I don't remember exactly what it was. I don't think it was anything here because... no, there is one thing that we can open, and it's the radio signal scanning, and we can also open the radio control unit, but we don't need either of those currently. I have a lot of things that I have to do before we get around to that. But I want to replenish a couple of my items. I'm sure that most of you have already seen the update video on the fluids update patch. It's a very, very fun video, so I encourage you to watch it if you haven't, because I enjoyed it immensely. No, we don't need motors. I'm gonna have to sink them. Yeah, I need a couple more steel beams. So what they've added in this patch is, apart from the ladders, that is, they have done some major modifications to the pipes, mostly quality of life. But of course they've added a couple of buildings or items that are highly relevant. So the refineries, as you may have noticed as we're passing them, they have new textures. They look quite cool now. But be aware that if you used to build power poles very close, you will have clipping through this new outcropping instead, because it used to be like a thing going out like that. So now you get clipping through that, so if you are allergic to clipping, I encourage you to take a look at that in case you have clipping. The other building that they've added, or rather, that was an update. So what they've added as a building is the packaging facility. I think it's called a packager. We will get around to that because I have built more than one of them already. I haven't put them in use yet, but that's something we'll do now in this episode. But the packager is a small, nice little building. It has this new design with the pipe above the belt output. That was not my favorite part of the building, I must admit, because it kind of messes with my zen when it comes to the packaging stuff. Okay, where are those packagers? They should be here somewhere. Oh, there they are. I didn't do the first row yet, I did the second row. So they are quite cute, but the pipes have to be very different if you want to have an underground pipe system like I have here. And then the belts go out like that underneath. Now, I'm sure several of you are wondering, what the heck is this? I haven't told you yet. Some of you probably have understood and figured out what the heck I am doing here. But I'll just keep you in suspense for a little while longer. So the that is one thing that they added. Oh, now I can build a Mark III miners. But of course I would need turbo motors for that, so that's not happening anytime soon unless I buy them in the Awesome Shop, that is, which is a possibility. They also added, where is it? The Mark II pipelines, which require plastic and aluminium or alclad aluminium sheets to build. They reduced the size of the pipeline pump Mark I by about 70%, and they also give you an indicator now for where the actual head lift is. And then if you have more pumps that you want to put on the same pipe, it will actually show you or snap to that point. So that is a brilliant thing. And then, well, the Mark II pipe has 600 cubic meters of fluid per minute. That's 600,000 liters of fluid. That is a lot per minute. The Mark II pump has been added as well. Again, it requires alclad aluminium sheets and plastic. I expect these to change. I strongly suspect that these will change. When we get the next patch, I would be surprised if these still require aluminium sheets and plastic. But that aside, the new Mark II pump has a maximum head lift of 50 meters, so that is definitely a nice addition. Does require thrice the cost, so in power, so you would get more out of 3 of these than you would out of 1 of these, but this is just more convenient. And then you have the valve. This is a nice little thing that I've already made use of, and I will explain that when we get around to showing that. It's very, very useful, actually. And I think that's the more important things that they did in terms of buildings. The other things that they have done is, and this makes me very happy, you can now attach wall attachments, like say a conveyor wall mount. These can now be attached. Let's go to the not that one, this one. Let's build a foundation there, and then the conveyor wall mount now snaps to that, which is something that I have missed very much. The same goes with the wall outlets. You can actually now build wall outlets on foundations. It also is true of the hypertube wall supports. But maybe even more fun is the fact that they will also, and I can't wait to see how people are going to use these. You can snap them to the ceiling. And that goes for all of these things. Well, I don't know if it goes for the... it would actually be kind of weird. No, it doesn't go for the wall mount, of course, of the conveyor pole, which would have been strange. But, like the hypertube wall support, you can happily have that hanging underneath something now. You cannot drag it out, so you will have some clipping with that, but it does work with a pipeline, so you can have hanging pipes. I really like these additions. So that is a very nice and convenient little quality of life update that I am very, very happy about. Another thing that they did add is, let's build another foundation here. If I now drag a power line from this, it no longer automatically is a power pole. You see that it now changes depending on what I'm aiming at. And that's also a great new addition. That's a really, really high quality of life update. So I'm very much looking forward to playing the game with these little quality of life updates added, because this is going to make life a lot easier. So in the last episode what I did was the fuel setup, and everything about that is now done, and or rather the turbo fuel, and I have 135 fuel generators running in this setup. I think I have enough power to last me for quite some time. We have 22.6 gigawatts of power. Of course, that doesn't mean I don't intend to build nuclear. And there underneath you can see the... oh, with the new update I could actually have done the power lines in the ceiling down there instead of having it running like that. But I'm not going to update that quite yet. Maybe later on. But that's the water farm that I've made. And is there anything else that I need to talk about? Nope. Nope, not really. So what are we looking at here? Well, the 60 plastic and 60 rubber that I'm making over there, that's not going to sustain me for very long. So I need more plastic and rubber. And that's what you're looking at. You're looking at a refinery section that before this update entailed 230 refineries. You can reduce that to 190 now, and then have 40 packagers instead of the 40 refineries. I'm using the same chain as I am using in the turbo fuel setup. So we have the crude oil coming into the alternate heavy oil residue recipe, and I've put these in segments of 10. And the reason for that is the pipelines, because this was built before update at 3.6. I have contained it so that it actually supports the 300 cubic meters of liquid per minute in the flow rate. But I think that even with update 3.6 I would still do it in this kind of a segmented build, because it is much easier to manage when you have it in a line like this. So all of these 30 refineries in this back row, they convert or refine the crude oil into heavy oil residue and polymer resin. The resin is funneled down that way, where there's a sink handily at the same location as that beacon that says supply chest up on the compass. These have been powered up. The next refinery here is responsible for making diluted packaged fuel. And diluted packaged fuel is made from heavy oil residue and packaged water. And I do have a pipe system underneath here, which also is not updated to the new system. But it is quite... well, I have done some updates on it. Let's remove these foundations so that we can see this more clearly. So the thing here is that since my pipes could not contain more than 300 at the time, I built this system as a grid, because this row contains 40 refineries, because these 30 refineries output 400 times 3, which is 1200. And that meant that I had to do some creative work on the this refinery segment to make sure that everything in that segment gets the heavy oil it needs. The way I did that was that I've built the pipes underneath here with some attachments going this way, and then at certain intervals you will find more attachments going like that. And the grid for this on this specific build, keep in mind that you don't need this type of massive stuff. You can do this on a smaller scale. But the build that I have here, which uses 30 to 40, has the pipe going using a Mark 1 pipe at number 1, and then number 7, and then number 14, then number 21, then number 28, and then number 35, and then 40, I believe. The pattern is 6, 7, 7, 7, 6. You can alternate that. No, 6, 7. 6, 7, 7, 7. 6, 7, 7, 7, 7, 6. Yeah, and you can alternate that as you please if you want to copy this setup. Here is one of these new little thingamajigs that I am quite happy about. This is the valve. The valve you can configure to stop the flow rate at a certain threshold. But that's not why I've placed it here. The valve also does another thing that originally I had pumps here to ensure that. It stops the liquid from going back. So this valve is a one-way direction thing, which I'm also very happy that they added. So the liquid in that segment there will go through these pipelines and it'll stay in this longer pipeline. And that is a very useful way to ensure that when you have a complicated setup like this, you will always be certain that when that pipe is full, everything will go over to the pipe where it's needed. Using pumps is another alternative, and with the new reduced size of the Mark 1 pump, you can see it's really a lot smaller than it used to be. That is absolutely an option. The Mark 2 pump would be even better, because that wouldn't clip through the floor at all. But using the valve is a cheap option. I mean, it costs 4 rubber and 4 steel beams, as compared to requiring power, because the valve doesn't require power. So this one requires 12 power. It takes 2 motors, 4 alkali aluminium, and 8 plastic. So the valve is a more useful option, I feel. Some of my mods obviously are not working currently. The foundation mod is one of them, but I can live without it for the time being, so that's not a problem. So basically what's going on here is just the pipe takes the liquid out of the refineries here, and it transports it into this grid and takes it back, or then pushes it into these refiners. The next line here is unpackaging that diluted fuel into fuel again, because that's necessary. That's simply done with a output to input. And I have very consciously decided to keep one section of the old style, because I know not everyone is going to play on the experimental build. So this tutorial should not be only for the experimental build. It'll probably be in early access in a few weeks, but until then you will have to use the regular refinery with a regular recipe for unpackaged fuel. And it's basically the same thing. You have a belt to belt. It's thankfully the input and the output is on the same side there as well. Aligning these up was a bit tricky at first, but as soon as I figured out the pattern, which is also always something that is a bit, yeah, it takes some getting used to at the beginning. So as soon as I figured that out, it's quite simple. I will demonstrate that. And the next building in the segment is the alternate recipe for recycled plastic. Note that this takes 30 rubber and 30 fuel, which then has the next building in the segment, which is the recycled rubber, which takes 30 plastic and 30 fuel. And again, for all of these rows, except for the first one, there are 40 refineries, or 40 unpackagers for the row with unpackagers, if and when I convert all of that to packagers and get rid of all of the refineries. And then we have the final row of buildings here, and these buildings are the ones responsible for making the packaged water. So they require 60 cubic of water and 60 empty canisters per minute. Now, what I've done here is I didn't bother with the loop that I did on the turbo fuel setup. So I have the container that you saw on the end. It takes out the empty canisters from that container and sends it along this belt here. And when the refineries here start working, it will take the water and the canisters and combine it into packaged water, which is quite simple. The water from underneath here is taken up through pipes. I'm not sure why that is showing a red indicator. It shouldn't show a red indicator because I'm pretty sure it has power. Maybe that is the update that broke that. I'll go check. So what I have down there is, let's see, again 300 cubic meters. So all of the water extractors down there are overclocked to 125% so that they produce 150 water each. And they, yeah, that's how it works. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I could now, using the Mark II pipes, update this and have it with a pipeline for 10 and not have to clip up a pipe through the floor for every 5 refiners. There is definitely something wrong with that pump down there though. It's showing the animation, but it isn't pumping any water, that's for sure. Let's have a look at it. Do you lack power? What on earth is going on with that thing? Huh? That doesn't even make sense. Okay, let's just remove the entire thing then and replace it. Now keep in mind that the pumps do have a direction. Oh, yeah, I can show that then. You can see the flow indicator. It's the blue thing that's flowing along there. If I were to place this here, it would happily pump everything up into... Oh, that looks absolutely amazing. So it shows me that it has enough head to head lift, I mean, to take into all of the pipes it is supposed to do. So if I then place this there, I can double check that it's working before I actually build it. Now, it's pumping again. I guess this is one of the experimental things. What is wrong with this? I have no idea what's going awry with this thing. So let's just do that again. Yeah, I want it there. That is the correct location. And it's still pumping. What the heck? Is that a bug of some kind? Yeah, okay, so it's a visual bug that it's pumping even when not powered, it would seem, or maybe it's just my game. Does that... I'm absolutely certain that that power line has power, but this is an excellent opportunity to actually test the ladder. Let's see if I can do this without falling down. Well, I can't, but I could get down here. So if I now connect that to power, because this definitely has... What? This has... Oh, well then. No, that power pole doesn't have power, that's the issue. That's something that needs to be remedied. There we go. Now it has power. Oop. Haha! I actually got used for a ladder. I didn't think that would happen. Let me do that ladder again. There we go, and then I can remove that. And in place of everything else here, I can build a T-crossing and a T-crossing and a walkway crossing. So I have somewhere in the underworks where I can get down to the water extractors. Now, I might want to have a look at this down here. Oops. It's a very simple system, basically the same as I had on the other side, with 2 and 2 water extractors paired up. With the Mark II pipes I could of course do 4 and 4. And I have, I think 16. I believe it's 16. And as I mentioned, they are all overclocked to 125%. Yeah, that's the water extraction facility. The same that I used over there, basically. Putting the water extractors in a 3x3 grid with foundations slightly submerged around them. I liked that style. And the credit for the style should of course go to Total Eclipse, because his channel is where I found it. I don't know if he's the one who came up with it, because he features a lot of people's content on his channel, but that's definitely where I saw it. So yeah, this side, we're back to the packaged water. This side takes the empty canisters and the water in, and then of course on the other side, which is the output, I have the canisters of packaged water coming out. And I'm sending them down. Note that 10 of these make 600, so I'm using a Mark V belt. Sending these out all the way down to the alternate recipe refineries that are making the diluted packaged fuel. So they come in here, and of course the heavy oil is coming in from the refineries in the back. Now you may notice that I haven't connected anything up here yet, and there is a good reason for that, because I wanted to show this before I actually connected it up. And I don't think that I will connect it up in this episode. That will be in the next episode, I believe, because I think I'm going to have a part 2 episode here. For the old style pipes and refineries, that is not using the packagers, if you're not on the experimental branch yet. What I've done here to get the fuel... Yes, the fuel. Both of these rows of refineries, that is the recycled plastic and the recycled rubber, both of these require fuel. So what I've done is a very simple system where I take the output of 5 refineries, and I send that output to the first row of 5 refineries on this side, and then I have a pipeline going around. So there are some glass foundations here now. That pipeline is simply just going out and all the way over to the next 5 on the other side. So I have paired... I don't think you can say you have paired, but I have quintuplets of refineries. 5 of them making recycled plastic and 5 of them making recycled rubber. So... But I'm doing the same thing on the unpackager side. It's just that on the unpackager I'm using... I should probably put up valves here as well. But here I'm just using... This is what the Mark II pipeline looks like. And it has a max flow rate of 600, of course. So here I'm using one long line of that, where I have this junction spliced in to go to the... No. That's not the junction that's spliced in. This is the junction that is spliced in here. And I don't even think that is spliced in because it appears to be taking liquid from upstairs. I'm fairly certain there was a splice though. I thought it was this one. Well, maybe I got lucky on this one. There's if you don't need to splice it, then don't. But at least I have a junction underneath here, and that sends to the other quintuplet refineries on the other side there. So it's not that complicated. It might look very complicated, but it isn't really that complicated. I felt that the turbo fuel said it was a bit more complicated than this actually. Let's close this. And I said I would leave that there, so that's fine. I have built the belts going down in 3 of the rows, so I lack this row here. Now I need to check my inventory, and as I suspected, I do not have enough space, so I need to just put down a couple of temporary containers here. I don't need that, don't need that, don't need those. This one we can get rid of, and I don't need a lot of these. These, remove 2 stacks of those, and I can definitely put these in here. And the packager requires rubber and plastic. Okay. So what we're going to do here, if I can get up. First of all, we have to remove these. And if you're uncertain about whether or not you have accidentally clicked someone, notice that currently it's showing, if I point at the sky, 120 iron plate, which is what I would expect to get from those. If I had a refinery, then I get the refinery components too. But that's perfect in this specific instance, because we are going to remove the refineries as well. And boom, gone you are. I don't need these motors anymore, so we can put them in here. And now for putting up the packagers. First of all, I like to have these in alignment with the refineries, but I don't have refineries going on over there, so I'll have to align them with the packagers that are already there. Now notice that when you have these, and you get the snap lines, I have the snap line for the middle of the refinery, no, for the pipeline, then I have the middle of the refinery, and then I have the belt output. So be a bit careful when placing these down, as they have 3 different snap points to a refinery, and you want it to be aligned with the belt entrance. But if you stand from this angle, it is much easier to see. Well, you can see that this one is on the floor and this one is higher up. But I liked building it from this angle, because then it was easy for me to spot both the lines and that they are indeed correct. As you can see, this is unusually efficient for me to build buildings, so as soon as I got that in, that really helped. Now we're going to use regular Mark 1 lifts for the belt or the machine to machine, since it is 60 parts per minute. So that is simple. I haven't done the packager with as in packaging any liquid yet, but I'm sure you can find ample videos on YouTube that does show that as well. So I don't think it's necessary for me to demonstrate that in this particular episode. It will happen at some point on my channel, so don't worry about that. We just connect up the belts. Oh, I didn't think that was going to work. There we go, and that's the final one. And then I want the output to go northwards. So I'm going to start over here with a merger. And it suffices that the merger is one. You can actually put the merger there if you want to, but I like seeing the little bit of belt. Also, for some reason, I don't know if they actually have fixed it or if it's just total... No, that's the wrong way. I don't know if they fixed this or if it's total utter coincidence, but when I turned this earlier like that, and I... Let's wait for the autosave. And then I... that's aligned. Yeah, see, it's actually facing the same direction. I don't know if that's a fix or if it's just pure coincidence. I hope it's a fix. I would be very, very happy if it's a fix. Because those of you who have followed this series definitely know how much meowing, I think we can say, I have mentioned over that particular little feature. Oh. Does it hold true for when I'm stacking them? No. So they haven't fixed it. Oh well. It works for the first one though. Hey. I think I've done a boo-boo here. Yep. I have placed all of them wrong. Okay. I'll just fix that. That's a typical thing that happens. So I'll pause and I'll fix it and I shall be back shortly. There we go. Let's just change the scene, I mean. And as a responsible adult, I feel it is my responsibility to apologize to all of the monitors out there who suffered from the screaming of everyone who noticed me building that second packaging or packager off the snap grid. And, well, it's not your fault that your owners are desperately trying to communicate with me, the past me, through you. It's a rough life, and I most sincerely apologize. I hope that the transgression can be forgiven, and that you're all going to be happy monitors again very soon. Because yeah, being yelled at, that's not fun at all. I understand that. Okay, now back to actually addressing the audience and not the monitors. We need a Mark V belt running down the line here, and be careful when you jump on a Mark V belt, because this happens. You wanna, if you miss, you wanna make sure that you're on the edge, so that you can jump safely, or you will fly everywhere. You could of course use a jetpack. I'm not a huge fan of that, but I'm very fond of the boots, the Blade Runners. But there is a trick, apparently, to using the jetpack and getting approximately the same speed as the Blade Runners. The problem, though, with that is that even with max inventory slots, I have a tendency to, well, use all of them. And I don't want to carry around fuel. Now, I'm just going to do a quick check on the... Yeah, so this is supposed to be on the edge here. Good. So just so that I know where I'm supposed to build that. Well, that doesn't help me much here. Okay, let's see. I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky. No, rather I believe that I'm glad that I went over and checked where the green snapline was, because if I had placed it where I originally believed it was correct, it would have been wrong. which would be inconvenient. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if you want this turn here to be correct, you must first do the belt like this, and then you must do the lift downwards, because if you do it the other way around, that is placing the lift here, you'll, well, that's on the wrong height, but you'll run into issues, as you can see. It's on the wrong height for both of them. So if I just do this, you can see that it's not allowed because the shape is invalid. But by doing it this way, like so, and then taking the lift down and angling it toward there, well, that's not a problem at all. So these unpackagers, or rather packagers, they are unpackagers of course, they take the empty canisters from the unpackaging process back to the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, take it back to the industrial storage containers that are handling the empty canisters. So that's why I'm taking them over here. Line that up with there, and now the loop, well, I haven't built this part yet, but the loop from the unpackaging is ready. What's this? Oh, I can take that. So the next part of this would be to then copy the stuff that I've done over there, which would involve taking, I've already taken the canisters out. So then the next project here would be to take the packaged water from these refineries down to the diluted fuel generators. Refineries. Now I'm doing it the other way around. And that's going to look like this. So I'm probably going to have to build some foundations over there. And these are actually... Ah, no, it's the water extractors underneath me I'm hearing. So I have to build a couple of foundations over there so that I don't fall down. And all of this looks very uniform. It's built in tens, and it is... The only reason this is here, by the way, is so that I get the snap line here, because that is useful. But I don't know if that's a merger. Yeah, that is mergers, of course, because I'm sending products out. So what I will be doing before the next episode is placing up those mergers, and then I will prepare the belts for all of these, so that everything before the recycled step is ready in terms of belts. For now, I hope that you enjoyed this episode, and there might be questions. I hope there are questions. So if you do have questions, then please do leave them in the comments, or you can also join us in the Discord server. You'll find the link to that in the description of the video. And do tell me what you think of the new fluid update, because I couldn't say that I'm pretty excited about it. The one thing that I'm uncertain about is the pipe and the belt above one another instead of beside one another. But Coffeestein did mention that we would have to bear with them. That might change, so be aware of that. That might change, which would make the build interesting to redo. But then again, I only have 40 of these currently. When the patch hits, as I mentioned, those of you who are using the refineries for packaging and unpackaging, as long as you don't touch them, they'll function fine. But if you touch them, if you change the recipe, there is no way back. And that is very important to remember. So when you start touching them, you need to be prepared to replace all of them if you start touching them, the ones that are within a chain. But for now, thank you all so much for joining me, and I will be seeing you all in the next episode.